Let's see. I think it's still thinking. Okay. Hello. We are live, I think, and we are going to just double check. We're just a minute early to make sure everything's working okay. So, Erica, will you check Facebook for me?
Here, it's not live.
Oh, volume down. Will you grab the remote here to turn this off?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's our preview. Looks good. Well, yeah, just mute it. Good. Okay, I'm going live. We should be good here.
Oh, wait. Why is it not muted? Oh.
Accessibility shortcuts, 8 items, voice guide off.
Oh. Hello, everybody. We are live, and we are just going to work out the TV. I think we're good, Erica. I don't hear it. Oh, I guess you can't. I don't see it. Oh, okay. Actually, it's a little delayed. Welcome to Crystal Media TV. This is our first episode. Let me see this. Sorry, everybody. We are going to close this. And I think we're good. So let me make sure. I think we're good on Facebook. I think we're good on YouTube. Erica, just go ahead and check Facebook. I'm going to pull this up too so I can see your questions. But welcome to our first show of Crystal Media Live, a live streaming show dedicated to helping independent retailers learn how to use online tools to bring in offline foot traffic and sales. And, you know, social media is changing all the time. So that's why we have this show. We want to help keep you up to date, what's relevant to help your business grow and thrive in this digital world that we live in. So I am just going to pull up my notes to make sure we stay on track here. So let's see. I have a code word that I'm going to share with you. And then at the end of today's show, I'm going to share with you what to do with that code word. So today's show code word is live show. Write it down. It's in honor of our first live show. So live show. And then I'll let you know what to do at the end of today's show. Now, this is live streaming through Facebook and through YouTube. So if you have any questions, please chat them in. I would love to have your participation and your involvement. We are going to take questions at the end of today's show or towards the end. I'm going to be looking at some of the questions as well, but I just want to make sure that we stay really focused on the topic. I know that your time is valuable, and I so appreciate you being here with me today. So I will address those questions, but feel free to chat them in at any time during the live show. If you learned something new, if you're excited by something that you hear, if you are just loving the live show and want to participate, go ahead and like the video on Facebook. I'd love to see you here. Love involvement. And if there's anybody that you think would find this show valuable, go ahead and hit that share button. So today's topic is all about where you should spend your time online. I have the opportunity to travel the world speaking to retailers and hearing their successes and challenges and some of their questions. And one of the most frequently asked questions is, where should I spend time online? And the thing that happens in this space in social media is because it changes so often, we are always kind of wondering, am I still relevant? Where I'm marketing right now, is this the right channel? A lot of retailers have been asking me lately if I should be using Snapchat, if they should be using it for their store. Since Snapchat is now public, it's getting a lot more media attention, and so they're asking that. Maybe you have a family member who's on Pinterest all the time, so you're wondering if your store should be on Pinterest. You know, as these things change, we just are asking those questions. And being on the right platforms is one of the most important pieces to your social media strategy, so you're not wasting your time. Because I know we work with independent retailers, have for the past 7 years. You're busy business owners. Your time is incredibly limited. So if you're spending time marketing on channels that just aren't really producing much results for you, or your audience just isn't there, then we're wasting our time, right? So we want the biggest impact. And today I'm going to just briefly go through the top 6 platforms and just kind of talk about their basic demographics and the ages of people on those platforms. But I want, before we kind of dive into that, I just want to take a step back and talk about where your customers are on social media. So in order for us to know what platforms we should be spending our time on, we have to first know who our customers are. what they look like, where they're spending their time. Okay, so okay, good. Thank you. Erica is in here with me. It's a live show, guys. We're live streaming, so we're just fixing a cord. So we have to know what these customers look like, right? So your first task, if you don't know this yet, what your perfect customer group is, people that you want coming into the store, buying, shopping with you, we have to first know what those people look like, okay? So that's your first piece of homework if you don't know them yet. Then we have to know where they are on social media, and that's going to take a little bit of research on your end. I'm going to give you some stats in today's episode, and then after those stats, I'm going to share with you some research tactics that you can do to find them online. But I just want to make sure that you first know who those people are. So because the reason I say that, where you're going to market your store is where your customers are, right? And we just have to figure that out through some of our research. So let me walk through our notes. We're good. Okay, so just to give you an example of this, here at Crystal Media, I've been in the social media space for over 10 years now, and I had my first company that was called 3 Elements before I started Crystal Media, and I managed businesses, social medias across the country. And I had a really big following on Twitter. That was my biggest platform. I actually was a part of Fast Company's Most Influential People Online campaign because of my Twitter following. Me and Shaquille O'Neal made the cut. And so I was tweeting all the time and seeing a lot of great success from it. Then I closed that company because I joined a different company where I started working with independent retailers. And then when I left that company to start Crystal Media about 5 years ago, I got back on Twitter. You know, that was my biggest platform. My most success was happening there. And I started tweeting retailers, following them, inviting them to webinars, into our free tips newsletter. And I wasn't getting any engagement. I wasn't getting any kind of results from it in response. Kind of felt like I was talking to myself. So I started doing some research and found that our independent retailers, even though they had a Twitter account, they weren't actively tweeting. Instead, they had a Facebook page and they were syncing their Facebook page to push content over to Twitter. So whatever was posted on Facebook, they'd automatically just put it over to Twitter. So they were showing up there, but what it meant is they weren't listening. They weren't responding to people when they were asking questions or retweeting them or inviting them to things. And so that was a bad platform for me to be on as a business owner. So I had to shift gears a little bit, found that they were on Facebook, and so that's where we put a lot of our efforts. Then you fast forward a couple years later, and at that time, when I started Crystal Media, Instagram was happening. It was a platform that people could use. It was live. But a couple years later is when my retailers started using it a lot more. More of the masses started to come to Instagram. So for a few years ago, then we started getting into Instagram. And so we really focus our efforts where our audience is, just like you should with your store. So let's talk about, let me go over, and I'm actually going to do, let's see if I can be fancy here. We are using a really cool software that I will teach about on a different show. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, but I want to make sure I've got my slides up. So let me share screen. And I'm going to, let's see, share good. Okay, you're going to see like a weird thing happening here for a second. Okay. Do you see my slides? Give it a second.
Also, YouTube's not working.
Okay. Okay, so YouTube's not working. Facebook is good.
Yeah.
You can see me in my slides, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to quickly go through the top 6 social media platforms and just give you basic demographics, because everybody that's watching this show is going to be in such different categories and industries for your stores. So this is just baseline, but you're going to need to do some additional research to figure out where you should be marketing your store. And I'll give you some tips on how to do that. So first off, just in alphabetical order, we've got Facebook. Facebook's going to be your largest network with over 1.5 billion users. And these people, over 1 billion of them, are using Facebook every single day. It's hands down the largest platform and the most active. So I typically tell retailers, if you're trying to pick one place because you don't have many people to help you with your social media, maybe no one, you're the owner, and we really need to focus our efforts somewhere to get the biggest impact, probably is going to be on Facebook because of its size and because of its ad capabilities. You can get super targeted with Facebook ads. We don't have time to get into it today on today's show, but tune in for future Crystal Media episodes because we're going to talk a lot more about ad features and how to optimize your page. So we've got 71% of American adults with access to internet. Breaking it down specifically by age, 82% of 18 to 29-year-olds, 79% of 30 to 49-year-olds, and 56% ages 65 and up. So for those of you who are thinking seniors aren't on Facebook or my audience is over 50 and they don't use social media, they do. Most of them are on Facebook. I will tell you, I don't have spending power built into this presentation just to kind of give you the quick and dirty stats on things here, but typically people on Facebook have a little bit more money as well. Their income is higher, so they've got some spending power there. Next up is Instagram. Instagram is owned by Facebook with 600 million users and growing. 55% of all online 18 to 29-year-olds in the US are using Instagram. Now that range is just a little younger than the millennial age group. So the millennial age group right now is that 22 to 39-year-old is what it would be in today's world. Some stats share some different years, but it's about that group of people. So 18 to 29 is 55% for Instagram, 28% are 30 to 49, 11% 50 to 64. Only 4% of 65-year-olds, like those senior citizens, are using Instagram. So if your store has the best products for senior citizens and that's your only audience, Instagram's not going to be a place that you're going to spend your time, okay? Moving along, we got Pinterest, much smaller audience at 150 million users. 36% are between 18 to 29, 34% between 33 to 52. That's kind of your Gen X group. And then the boomers are at 18%, 53 to 71. So we're seeing a little bit of an older audience on Pinterest. I will tell you right now, Pinterest is really great for 4 specific industries: food, wedding, fashion, and home decor. If you sell online, really great place because it's more of this like online global type of experience than really locally focused. But people are, it was interesting actually to me as I was researching this to see some of those 53 plus active on Pinterest. They're going there, they're shopping, they're storing their things they want to buy and creating an emotional wish list there. We've got Snapchat, which is smaller, 150 million people using it every day. The end of last year of 2016, 78% of US consumers ages 18 to 24 were using this platform every month, 48% ages 25 to 34. If you're trying to reach the millennial group, which I get asked all the time, millennials is such a buzzword right now. How do I reach those millennials? Again, kind of 22 to 39-year-old. Snapchat is a good way to do it. They are there. But I have to tell you that Snapchat's an entirely different strategy than any other platform that you're going to be using, and you're going to be promoting it very different than other platforms as well. We do have some additional training on that in Social Edge. It's going to actually be uploaded today. But we're going to talk about Snapchat in Crystal Media Live as well in future episodes, so stay tuned. And then we've got Twitter at 313 million active users. A third of American teens are using Twitter. So this is going to be that 13 to 18-year-old kind of age range. So sort of the younger group than the millennial group. If you're trying to target them, Twitter could be a good place for you. 32% internet users age 18 to 29, 13% 50 to 64, 6% of senior citizens. Again, if you're trying to reach that group, probably not the best place to do it here on Twitter. Then finally, we've got YouTube. So over 1 billion users on YouTube, but monthly active is at 215 million. We're using YouTube very differently than these other platforms. We're not really using it as a social connection tool where we're having friends and having these conversations. We're really using it as an information tool. YouTube now live streams, so we're going to see more with TV shows and things like that. So, but this is a place where, from a keyword perspective or to get found. YouTube is owned by Google. So you could be optimizing some of your videos to help get extra exposure for the products you sell and for your store. Largest demo is 25 to 34-year-olds and more 18 to 49-year-olds than any cable network in the US. So the attention, we're finding a lot of attention on YouTube. So let me stop sharing here. It says that I'm sharing. If I hit stop sharing, I think we're good, right? Back to regular screen. Okay. So, and then let me just hold my notes up. So what we just did here was a very quick recap as far as usage and age, but you've got to get deeper as far as who your perfect customer is, what they're buying, and then of course the products that you sell. So there are things most of you are probably going to be looking at from a local standpoint. Are people in my area using Snapchat? Are they using Instagram and YouTube and Pinterest? We have to ask those things. So I've got a couple of tips for you to walk away with this from this show to understand how to find these people. So the first one is we're going to do our research and we're just going to ask our current customers, where are they marketing or where are they going online? Typically like from our phone, where are we finding information? How are we connecting with our friends? You can ask in store. I've seen stores have like a blackboard up where they would put the different social media profiles on it. And then their customers would just do a check mark for Facebook or check mark for Instagram. You could send out an email survey asking people. If you enter them to win a gift card to your store, you're going to see a better chance of people entering and giving you that information. Ask on social media. You could ask on your Facebook page, hey, like this post if you also use Instagram, just to kind of survey current customers. Then, so we're doing that online as well as in-store signage. Using hashtags specifically on Instagram. This strategy works best on Instagram, where if you're searching for your local hashtag. So I am in Carlsbad, California right now. I could search for Carlsbad, Carlsbad, CA, SoCal, North County, searching for some of these different hashtags locally to see how many people are using those hashtags, what comes up, kind of what the conversation is locally. Another thing for you to do specifically for Facebook is go to facebook.com/ads and you can put in your zip code or your city or your town, put in the radius, and then put in your age range. You can get super targeted with their options there. But even if you're just looking at my location, how many people in my town use Facebook? You know, I was talking to a gentleman a couple weeks ago in Orlando at a pet show, and he didn't really think that his audience was on Facebook in this small town in New Jersey. And he was really trying to target kind of like the bird watchers. They like to feed the wild birds. And I was laughing because my boyfriend and I like to watch the birds and feed the birds. And I'm like, I'm not this. He thought it was like 50 plus. And I'm like, I totally can fall within that demographic. So we pulled it up in New Jersey to see, and we just looked at 25-year-old and up. I believe he had about 30,000 people in his small town in New Jersey that are on Facebook. So it was kind of eye-opening to him to be like, because he had no idea. He didn't use Facebook. He's not on it at all. So use that ads tool to do some research for yourself. And then another thing for you to do to figure out where your customers are is look at your competition. So whether it's a big box store or it's a competitor who's a local, do some research and see where they're marketing online. And I want you to look to see what channels. You can look at the size, like how many people like them on Facebook, how many people follow them on Instagram, but also really pay attention to engagement. Are people asking questions and liking their posts and participating in the conversation there? The reason I want you to look for engagement is because, especially with big boxes who have maybe a big box budget, they can buy followers and likes, and it can just be fluff just for social proof. Like, we have 1 million followers online, and however, like 10 people engage with them each week. So that really shows me the actual quality of the audience based off of engagement. So pay attention to that. So those are a couple of tips for you to go find your audience. We've got some additional stuff inside of Social Edge for any of those members watching, but you really got to take action and do the homework, know who your customer is, and then do the research. Okay, so we are going to open it up for questions. Crystal Media Live is all about kind of quick tips here. We're focusing on one thing, and now Erica's gonna give me the questions. Do we have a couple?
We just have one.
Okay, I'm gonna just read the one question. If you have questions, feel free to chat them in the group or right down below here, below the video, and we'll address them right now on the live show. Before I answer this question, I just want to tell you what you should do with the code word that I talked about at the beginning of the show. So if you missed out on what the code word was, when we end here, go back, watch the beginning, and then you can do this, okay? So you're gonna take the code word, you're gonna go over to our Instagram account. On the most recent post, which I believe is about the live show, right? Kind of behind the scenes of the live show, our most recent Instagram post, you're going to comment with that live, with the code word. And then make sure you're following us on Instagram. Do this by 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. We are going to pull somebody. We're going to just randomly grab somebody who enters the right code word and give you a free month of Social Edge membership, which is valued at $97. So take action on that. Now, here's our question. Laura says, would you talk about Google Adwords? Your thoughts? So Laura, Google Adwords is going to be a paid platform on Google, right? Where you can purchase different keywords and have that higher placement within the Google search results. And just like all these platforms that I talked about, do your research. AdWords is a little different because it's specifically advertising, right? So what I just talked about is all organic. You know, where should I be spending my time? Posting and networking, not necessarily money. AdWords can be highly effective for local businesses and different keywords. I know, Laura, if you are the Laura I'm thinking of, you might sell online as well. And so what I would do is I would start doing some keyword research to see what keywords are going to be right for you with your AdWord efforts. I have to be totally transparent and share that I am not an SEO expert. We don't run AdWords for our clients. I've ran AdWords in the past, so I have some experience, but we really focus on the social media aspect, kind of that organic reach, and then the social ads. So I'm not going to be the best person to give you advice, but I will say I think it's worth investigating. I think it's worth researching your keywords to see how many people are searching a month for those keywords. And then it will also show you the competition as well. So how many people are fighting for that keyword. A fun tool for you, there is a fee associated with this, but spyfu.com, and I think it's spyfu.com. I think that's right. But Google Spyfu, like keyword tool, you have to pay to get some of this information from them, but you could put in keywords or even competitors and see what they're paying, what keywords they're buying to kind of give you some ideas too. So that goes along with our research element of it. But great question, Laura. Look at that. Depends on your budget. And my last thing I'll say with AdWords is I think it's really important to have an expert running your Google AdWords because there's a lot that goes into it, and it takes time to monitor every piece of the ad campaign and make some changes and test and track until you really figure out what's working. And then typically what happens once you really know what's working, something changes. And so we've got to just stay on top of it. So for some of my independents, if you're the store owner, that's going to be really hard for you to be on top of. If you are the marketing manager helping the store, get certified. Google has some different programs you can go through. Otherwise, work with an expert. Okay, we had a couple more questions. Giselle, can you share some tools we need to have to do Facebook live streams? Giselle, I love that you're asking this question. So next week's episode, I'm going to talk more about video. So you're going to want to tune in for that. I will tell you what we're using in today's episode and what we're going to be hosting Crystal Media Live on is called crowdcast.io. crowdcast.io. There's a fee for us to stream. So we're streaming on Facebook. I thought we were streaming on YouTube, but it might not have effectively went there. So what we'll do is extract the video from Facebook, put it on YouTube. But you can stream Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope all at the same time. There's another tool out there. I think it's called Blue Jeans. that allows you to do some of this live streaming to multi-streams. But otherwise, if you're an independent retailer, just using Facebook and going live on your Facebook page is going to be super easy. There's no cost to that. You can do it from your computer. You can do it from your phone. I'm going to talk more about video techniques and strategies that are going to be successful for retailers next week. So hold on to that. I hope you can tune in because that's going to be a good one. But those are a couple of tools if you want to multi-stream. And then Casey, for a lighting showroom, is Instagram a good tool to use to show products? Absolutely, Casey. Here's the deal. So if you're a lighting showroom and the first thing I would do is, if you don't sell online, if you're just local, I would go to Instagram and I would search local hashtags, and then I would look for businesses that you know that are in the area that have similar audience groups. Like maybe you're trying to connect with homeowners or contractors or builders, and you're kind of going to some of those company pages to see if they are on Instagram also, and look at some of their followers. And you can click on these people and see where they're located to just make sure that they live in the area. That's a really good way to kind of survey to see how many people are there. You can also use the Facebook ad tool like I talked about and just choose Instagram as your placement. You can run Instagram ads as well on the phone and kind of have an idea of the audience size there. But Instagram, in my opinion, Instagram paired with Facebook are the best top tools for an independent retailer who's local to use to market their store. I think for lighting showroom, you have a lot of opportunities with video on Instagram, showcasing product, talking about product. You can go live on Instagram as well. So just make sure that your people are there locally, and then check those other businesses, and that could be a good place for you. I see Erica writing some questions down. I'll swap you if you want to repurpose those. You guys, thank you so much for participating in these questions. They are awesome, and I so appreciate it. The show is that much better with your involvement, so thank you. Allison, what kind of Facebook ad budget should we have to take our store from 1.5 million to 3 million? Allison, that is a really loaded question. One of the top questions I get asked is, what should my Facebook ad budget be? We're going to talk about that on an episode of Crystal Media Live. We're not going to get into ad budgets at all on this episode. It's really where should we spend our time and where our perfect customers are. For you to take this there's so much that I have to share with you to break this question down for you. Better question for us to talk about in our Facebook ad budget. But Allison, I would be curious if you are already running ads and what your current budget is and what kind of results you're seeing from that. And then you can take that and multiply it, right? So if you aren't running ads at all, you're gonna have to start somewhere to start getting some metrics to measure to then plan that kind of growth. Really brief, just so I can give you something to walk away with this, because I don't want to just shut down your question since it's a little off topic. But your Facebook ad budget is going to be based off of your overall marketing budget. I have retailers where 10% of their marketing budget is dedicated to Facebook ads, and I have retailers where 100% of their budget is dedicated to Facebook ads. Often that's based off of last year's budget, and then we can kind of scale it based off of the growth that we're seeing month over month from the marketing budget perspective. And then what we're doing is we're running these ads, we're measuring the success, and then we're making some changes to optimize, and then we can multiply that to increase our efforts. So little bit of information there for you, Allison, but great question to ask when we're doing our ads, Crystal Media Live. Allison, if you are a Social Edge member, head over to our Social Edge Facebook group, and we can dive into that a little bit more because we have training on Facebook ad budgets. So we'll send you the links to that. That might help you scale your ad budgets. Joni, how do we turn Facebook and Instagram posts into sales? Okay, these are really great questions for like future shows too that we'll have to hang on to. Okay, so Joni, another loaded question because there's a lot that you can do with your posts. So how do you turn it into future sales? One of the most important things is that we're posting content that relates to our customers, and we're doing so consistently. Because something that maybe I see today, let's say you post a picture, you're a shoe store and you post a picture of boots today, but I just bought a pair of boots and I'm really not interested, or I'm not spending money right now, but I still follow you. I think they're super cute. Maybe I like them or I pay attention to them. But then you're posting something else and posting something else, and I'm staying engaged with you. You're posting content that I like to see. But then down the road when I am ready to buy, or you're posting something that I'm like, yes, I'm going to this event this weekend. That's the necklace I need for that, or the shoes I need, and I'm coming in and purchasing. So it's all about this consistently showing up to our perfect customers, posting content that captures them, that intercepts their attention, not interrupts them. And what's interruption is like, buy these boots. These boots are 50% off. You can do some of that, but we have to make sure majority of our content is showing them the trends and what's new, and pairing it with some other different outfits and ideas on how to wear it, giving them more information, going live on camera with them and talking about your products, getting kind of personal, building relationships. This will all vary dependent upon what kind of products you sell. But those are the big thing there is, yes, highlight products, but teach about products, show new, be consistent, and then be a little more diversified in the content that you're posting. And what I mean by that is, like, don't just post a picture all the time. Do a video, do 10 pictures where they can slide through on both Facebook and Instagram, go live. We want to just try to have some more unique content that kind of makes it a little bit more interesting, but highlights those products and you and your customers. And then you can do some things too, of course, like ads or hashtags that can increase the exposure, cross-promoting, influence marketing, those kinds of things that can drive in those sales. Consistency, though, is going to be key. And then Sherry, how do we get more followers? We post several times a day and work really hard at great pictures for an item. Sherry, big question there. I'll give you a couple of tips. One way to get more followers is, thank you, is we got 2 more questions and then we'll probably call it. Let's see, how far are we in our show? Oh, wow, we've been on for 30 minutes, you guys. So Sherry, a couple of things. In-store signage, I'd be curious how you're marketing your social media in-store. Little signs, how is the staff talking about it in fitting rooms, different hashtags? If you ship products, do you have signage in the boxes and getting people involved? Do you do some different contests of people who post with your hashtag and follow you, and you randomly select people each month? Doing contests is another way to increase your followers. Sending out emails, hey, we're on Instagram, follow us. Partner that with a contest. Ads, of course, is going to be another way, but that's going to be your paid option. We have a lot of success doing that here. Just be super targeted with who you're advertising to, but that's going to be an option for you as well. In-store signage, use your already established networks. Like, let's say you're trying to build followers on Instagram, but you have a Facebook page. We could talk about that on Facebook, drive them over. Influencer marketing, maybe there's somebody big in your area that's got a big Instagram following, and you have them take over your account for a day, and they're promoting it to their audience. So we're getting more people to follow your account because they love that influencer who's now on your Instagram page. So those are a couple ways for you, both organically using a third party like an influencer, and then in store, and then some free stuff as well. We've got Robert, for independent retailers, do you feel the time spent making their own content for social media is worth the effort versus using content, pictures and videos from vendors they carry? Ooh, Robert, great question. These are all really great questions. So Robert, what I found to work is it's sort of a blend. Majority of the content that's taken in store performs better than your vendor shots. However, it kind of depends on how you're using the content, because like, let's say you're doing an ad, so you're doing an ad on Facebook or Instagram. Typically higher quality image works better for ads. And so if you take a vendor shot, like a lifestyle shot, not necessarily like white background with the product on it, but a lifestyle shot, those often perform really well when it comes to ads. But then if you're just posting it on your Facebook page, especially if a lot of the retailers are repurposing that and it doesn't really match your brand, like it feels disconnected, then that doesn't always work well from an organic post standpoint when it's coming in the newsfeed. So it varies a little bit upon what kind of image you're taking from the retail or from the vendor, and then the products featured. The white background, that stuff can work well if you're doing like a slideshow where it moves every couple seconds to show another product, because it's good lighting. But I wouldn't just feature like a image or a product on a white screen and that's your post. Like I would do several together. You can make a collage. Otherwise, stick to the lifestyle. But like I said, majority of the content is going to be in store. We want to bring the physical storefront to the digital world. Independents have an enormous opportunity to connect with people online outside of these big boxes because of their storefronts. They can show their products, they can show their people, they can show their customers, they can have this relationship where the big box stores can't do that. You know, that's very hard for them to accomplish. So that in-store content is typically going to perform a lot better for you, but you can use the vendor for some different strategic things. And then our last question we're going to take here is, Carmen, my Instagram account was hacked by someone with unfavorable pictures. I'm so sorry to hear this. I've been afraid to set it up again. And Instagram what's that?
It's hard to use.
It's hard to use. Any suggestions for moving forward? And it's not easy to work with Instagram. So, Carmen, if your audience is on Instagram, like I would be curious to know what the response was before you got hacked. Like, are people engaging? Were they commenting on products? Were they coming in and buying, asking about price, availability, things like that, building the relationship? If that was happening, then that tells me that Instagram is going to be a good platform for you. And then if you do some research to see if your customers or potential customers are on Instagram, then yeah, that's going to be a place that we're going to want to be. I wouldn't block it out because of a bad experience of unfortunately getting hacked. That stuff does happen. There's some things you can try to do to prevent it with super, strong passwords and changing your passwords. But sometimes we can't avoid that. So I don't think that it's worth it for you to just forget it forever, because you might be missing out on a really strong opportunity to connect with your customers and continue to grow. But maybe now, moving forward, in knowing that that happened to us, if you feel like Instagram is hard to use or understand, I would just get a little training so you feel really confident moving forward. And then I would just have some checking and monitoring in place, whether that's you if you're the owner or somebody on your staff or as a team, just to make sure that our account is safe and other stuff's not getting posted there. But I wouldn't write it off. Especially if it worked for you before, I would get back on and then keep using that channel. Okay, you guys, my goodness. So I want to recap our action items before we close today's show. And before I do that, I want to tell you about next week's show. Same time, same place, every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We're doing this, so join me. Next week's show is worried about being on camera, how to overcome the fear. So a lot of retailers we work with are nervous. A lot of people in general don't feel comfortable being on camera. And so I'm going to give you some tips to feel comfortable. I'm going to give you some tools as well. And then if you are just terrible on camera and it just should not be an option for you, because that is the case with some people, and it's just like out of the question, then I'll give you some other tools and strategies where you don't actually have to be on the camera, but we can still use video, because hands down, video is one of the best ways for retailers to market their store today. Honestly, for almost any business, video is one of the best tools. So you won't want to miss this show. Tune in. It's going to happen next week. If you want to get an email reminder about our shows, head on over to Crystal Media or crystalmedia.com, HEY, crystalmedia.com, and just click on free tips in the navigation. Join the newsletter. We'll send out a reminder Monday morning. And your action items, recap here. So we got to know who our perfect customer is. Then we go research. I gave you some specific tips to find these people online, do the work. And here's something that's so important. This changes. Social media is a moving target. It changes. New sites pop up. Now we're talking a lot more about Snapchat. Even though it's been around for a few years, we're starting to talk more about it now. When I started Crystal Media, I thought Twitter was the place to be, but I had to really research and change. And then 2 years later, I had to adapt Instagram. So this is something that you should be working into your schedule. I recommend every 6 months, but you could do it yearly as well. So make sure you're using the right platform so you're not wasting your time. We're connecting with our audiences. Thank you so much for those of you who asked questions, participated in our live show. It's our first one. I am grateful for you spending your time with us. I know it's incredibly precious and limited, so thank you so much for spending time. And I'm Crystal Vilkaitis. I will see you next week on the show. Bye-bye. We're going to close it down. And okay, let me close over here. Okay, bye-bye.